Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Bean here, and today I'm coming at you in front of my brand new shelves, which makes me so excited. This is the first time I'm filming in front of these shelves, and so what you can't see is I have a wall full of, I have 3 full bookshelves, plus a cart with books, plus another area that has all of my manga and my graphic novels, and then my desk where there's more books, and my TBR is over there, and I have a little miniature library, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah, so this is my first time filming here. I'm sorry if my voice is a little weird. Allergies have officially started kicking in, and I spent quite a bit of time outside, and so my sinuses are not exactly my biggest fan right now. But today I'm coming at you with a video where I am going to talk about the books that I finished in the month of May. Now, May was a very emotional month for me. A lot of things happened, but good things, I like to think, for the future. So over the course of May, I managed to read 5 books. 4 of these books were physical books that I myself own, and one of them was a library book, which I no longer have because I have since returned it to the library. In total, I read 1,351 words. Of these 5 books, 1 book was under 200 pages, 3 of them were between 201 and 300 pages, and 1 book was between 401 and 500 pages. As far as ratings go, 2 of them got 5-star, 2 of them again got 4.5 star, and 1 got a 4-star. The longest book I read was 427 pages, and the shortest book was 152 pages. The authors of these books, 2 are from the US, 2 are from the UK or Ireland, and 1 is from Japan. As far as author gender, 2 were female and 3 were male. Moving on to genre, I read 3 fantasy, 1 horror thriller, and 1 mystery. So all of these books were fiction. For the age group, 1 middle grade book was read, 2 YA books were read, and 2 adult books were read. So that is, I guess, the summary of what I've read. The first book that I finished at the beginning of May was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This is a book that I read every single year. I absolutely love this book. I have been listening to the audiobook for the past 2 years, so I did end up doing that this time, but I love this book. This follows a group of 12 people who seem random that were invited to an island by a benefactor, and this benefactor has promised them a variety of different things, from jobs to just a meetup to money to whatnot. And the reason that all 12 of these people are brought here is to force them to confess to crimes that they are being accused of committing. Now, it's all fine and dandy. They plan on leaving the next morning when they realize this is a hoax, only for one of them to die that night. And then slowly but surely, they are killed off, and you're left wondering who's the one who killed him. Who is it? So I absolutely love this book. I think it is so well done. And if you haven't read And Then There Were None, 1, what are you doing with your life? You need to go read this book. 2, as usual, I gave it a 5 out of 5. I give it a 5 out of 5 every year. I do love it. I love it, and every year I feel like I learn something new from it, but I highly recommend everyone reads this book at least once in your life. The next book that I read was actually also a reread, and that was Artemis Fowl by Ewan Colfer. This is such an interesting book. So I have not read the Artemis Fowl series basically since it came out in 2001. I'm sorry. It came out in 2001. I was close. The series started coming out in 2001, and in that year, my mother and I actually started reading this series together. And so I have actually picked up all except for 1. I'm missing 1 of them. I'm missing 1 book in this series, but I am starting my reread, and I'll find it when I get there, hopefully. We'll see. I honestly can't find it anywhere, so I might resort to going online to find this last book that I'm missing. But I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5. It was especially for 2001, this was a very well done middle grade / children's book, because it's right on the cusp of middle grade / children's. This is a fantasy story, or I guess more magical realism if you really want to get into that. But this follows a 12-year-old named Artemis Fowl, who is a millionaire, and he's basically a villain in the making. Like, that is what Artemis Fowl is. He is the villain of this story. I don't care what they tell, like, what the movies say, anything. He is the villain of this story, and there really isn't a way around that. You can argue the fact that he's trying to help his sick mother, but it doesn't make sense that way. He is a 12-year-old genius who has figured out that there are magical creatures in this world. And what does he decide to do? He decides he wants to kidnap one and get their secrets so that way he can get their magic. How is that not villain material right there? And he kind of does. Like, he manages to do it. It's kind of crazy how it is. I don't like Artemis Fowl in this book, and you aren't supposed to. He's not necessarily a good person. And I think that is such an interesting way to go about writing, especially a children's series, because I remember loving Artemis Fowl as a character when I was a child. But as an adult, I'm like, dude, you're 12. Calm down. Torture? Really? Ugh. It's a whole thing, but it's such an interesting story, and I don't remember it. So it's very interesting. I'm reading this book 20 years later, and it's still relevant, it's still interesting, and I still think everyone should read it. Like, it's really well done. 4 out of 5 for me. All right, after that, I moved on to a book that I have not read yet, and that I hadn't read as of yet, and that was Delicious in Dungeon, Volume 9 by Ryoko Kui. This is the latest installment in the Delicious in Dungeon series, which is a manga that I am following currently. I have all of them, 1 through 9. I have read all of them now, 1 through 9. This follows a group of adventurers who are attempting to discover all of the layers of this deep dungeon in an effort to find the younger sister of the group's leader, who has been eaten by a dragon. And if they can get to this dragon before she is digested, then they have a hope of saving her. And this is all about them exploring this dungeon with nothing but what they have and their wits. And they end up like eating a lot of the creatures that are in the dungeon and meeting some people, and there's a whole hierarchy of the dungeon, and it's very interesting and surprisingly political, which I did not think this was going to be, but highly recommend this series. If you haven't read it, I suggest you pick it up. All right, the next book that I read is the library book that I read, and that is Lock and Key Volume 3, Crown of Shadows. This is a thriller by Joe Hill with art by Gabriel Rodriguez. This is a super creepy story. I really don't want to spoil much of it or get much into it, but this is a very interesting story that follows a family who has moved into a house that is, I believe, ancestrally theirs, and they're basically they have stumbled upon these keys that allow you to do all sorts of different things, from unlock your mind in order to put things in it, to unlocking your body so that way you can become a spirit. It's a very, very interesting book, very dark, very creepy. I just also finished Volume 4 in June this month, and whew, that was an interesting one. I don't want to talk too much about it again because it is the third book in a series, but I am enjoying this, and I'm reading it more because I want to know what happens rather than because I like the characters, because I care about them. I want to know what happens in this story itself. This is such a thriller. There are trigger warnings for just about everything in here. It's intense, guys. I ended up giving it a 4.5 out of 5. And the final book that I read in the month of May is The Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I've never read this book before, and now I'm finally reading it. And oh my gosh, guys, I finished this and went, give me book 2, give it to me. Give it to me now. So Callie did. She gave me her copy, so I'm going to be reading that tomorrow. But this book, guys, is so intense. It is such an intense story and so intriguing and thought-provoking, and the characters, oh my gosh, I love these characters so much. We have our main character, August Flynn, who is a monster. He's considered a monster, and you find that out right away. He is born of violence, so he's one of the 3 different types of monsters that are in this world, and he is being sent on a mission to basically follow this girl around. And this girl is Kate Harker. Kate Harker. Oh, Kate. I did not like Kate at first. And I don't think you're supposed to. I really don't think you're supposed to like her at all until maybe the end. But Kate is the daughter of the man who's currently running the city. So she's kind of like the mayor's kid. But the story starts off with her setting fire to the school she's at because she's throwing a temper tantrum and doesn't want to be there anymore. And so what does she do? She burns down a cathedral. So, and you get that's the first chapter right there. It's her burning this cathedral down. Sorry, I spoiled the first chapter for you. You're fine. But this book is so well done, and it's so interesting because depending on how characters are brought up, kind of shows whether or not they're monsters or not, or how they act. They're given labels, and are these labels applicable? And oh my gosh, these characters, he's just such a cinnamon roll, and I feel like you need to wrap him up in blankets and protect him, and he cannot leave. He cannot go. He cannot go anywhere because, oh, my poor sweetheart. Sweet boy. I'm trying really hard not to spoil any of this, but I love this book so much. Guys, you really should go read this. I cannot recommend this duology enough. Even though I'm pretty sure I'm the last one on the planet to read this, I'm really glad I did. It got a 4.5 out of 5 for me. The only reason it didn't get a 5 out of 5 was because the start of this book, despite there being arson right at the beginning's a little slow, and it took a little bit for me to get to a point where I was enjoying what was going on and to really figure out the plot of the story, if you will. So, yes, 4.5 out of 5. So I've fallen dramatically and comically behind on my TBR for this year. So we'll see how this goes. As you've seen in my TBR videos, I don't know how much I'm going to read each month, obviously, and I just have not been doing well. So this is kind of my little announcement. I'm going to be doing a read 7 books in 7 days vlog, and I'm actually going to be starting it this upcoming weekend, but you're not going to be seeing it for another 2 weeks because of just timing and how we're filming things. But I would love it. I'm going to be active on Instagram, actually, I believe, for this. So if you guys want to read along with me, feel free. I would love to have people there cheering me on. I'm also debating doing some other readathons this month now that I have an office, now that I have a reading space, because this is my reading and working space. It really is, and I love it so much. But I would take any suggestions based on these, based on anything, what you think I should read next. Apparently this month I read the blue and red books, so there you go. But yeah, that's what I got for you guys here today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, now is the perfect time to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We post videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and if you want to be reminded when we post these videos, hit the little bell icon down below. And until next time, guys, I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, and keep reading. Bye!